Welcome to Make Art, a hands-on course for engineering design, a course taught at the University of South Florida. In this video, we'll talk about Polygon modeling tools. Now up top you have your status line. Your status line will tell you which mode you are in within Maya. This drop-down menu over to the left shows you the different modes that Maya has. We have modeling, rigging, animation, effects, and rendering. When we're modeling, we want to be in the modeling mode. We can switch between the modeling modes by clicking the drop-down or by using the keyboard shortcuts F2, which is modeling, F3, which is rigging, F4, animation, F5, effects, and F6 is rendering. We can see that as we do switch between these modes, that the menus after our common menu, so our common menu goes from File to Windows. After the Windows menu, we get menus for the particular mode that we're in. So F2 mode will give us mesh all the way through to help, or the various mesh menus that we can use. We'll be taking a look at these mesh menus further. Let's create a polygon cube. I'll hit F on my keyboard to zoom into the cube. There are different ways we can add divisions to this cube. With the cube selected, we could go over to our inputs, polycube, and look at the subdivision with height and depth. You can just type in a value here, like 3, and that would add the divisions across the height of the cube. You can select one of the attributes, hold your middle mouse button down, and drag left to right to add or take away divisions. You could have the cube selected and go up to your mesh tools, and anytime you see this kind of dotted line here, you can click that dotted line and tear off that particular menu. So if we look here at the mesh tools, we have insert edge loop. The insert edge loop tool will cut along the edges in a loop. So as long as the edges continue in the same direction, it will cut until that direction ends, or until it goes and creates a loop. So for instance, if I cut along this vertical edge, it cuts all the way around the cube in that direction. So same thing here. If I cut along here, you can see it goes all the way around. This is important because starting with a cube maintains the quads or four-sided faces, which is clean geometry. So it's a good rule of thumb to maintain four-sided faces. Right? Triangles are okay, and anything over four sides, so n-sided, is typically not good because then you have some unpredictability on how it's going to smooth out. So the insert edge loop tool is one way of cutting edges. So I'm going to hit Control Z so that I can undo those divisions. So just keep hitting Control Z. And let's take a look at some other tools. We can do a multi-cut. A multi-cut just means that you can click on an edge and then click in an opposite edge and just cut edges directly in. But be careful when using this tool because, again, I'm not keeping very clean geometry because this is a triangle. This is an n-sided now. It has more than four faces. This is a triangle. This right here, even though it looks like a four-sided, it's not a four-sided because this is another edge. So now we have a five-sided edge here, which is not good geometry because it will have a little point here if we smooth it out, or it might be a little bit more unpredictable when you go to smooth it out. So just be careful with using this multi-cut tool. It's better to use the insert edge loop tool and then cut some edges in, or at least end your cuts at a point. So I wouldn't just end a cut here. I would continue to cut. So if I click and drag, that point will snap kind of to this point here, and instead of ending there, I would click and drag and maybe end it down at this bottom corner. So at least now I'm maintaining kind of a better piece of geometry. It's four-sided, and this is a three-sided down here. Same thing around here. I would make sure that I cut and either continue cut all the way around or cut and end it to here. This is okay because now I have a four-sided piece of geometry here. If we select this edge, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, even though it's in the shape of a triangle. Here, not so good because now I have five-sided, and here is a triangle. So I'm going to hit undo to get rid of these edges. Another way to get rid of the edges is you could select the edge and you could go up to Edit Mesh and you can go to Edge and down to Delete Edge. So that will actually delete the edge and the vertices. If you just select an edge and you hit Delete, like this, so if I select this edge here and hit the Delete key on my keyboard, it looks like we got rid of the edges, which we did, but if I right click and select Vertice, you'll see that these vertices are still here. So the shape still has multiple edges. So the correct way to get rid of edges that you don't want is you select your edge. So make sure you right click, select edge, and go up to Edit Mesh, down to the edge, and make sure you say Delete Edge Vertice. So here, Edit Mesh, Delete Edge Vertice. That way if I look at vertices, those vertices are gone and the edges are also gone. So another thing that you may want to do, right click and select Face. Select this top face here. We know we can move this top face, but I may want to add more geometry instead of just using the geometry that's here. We can go over to Edit Mesh and we can go to Extrude. If I hit Extrude, it's going to create another face right on top of the face that we had selected. So before you click off of here, it's very important to move that face up. Or instead of moving it up, you can click on the little box for the scale tool and scale inward. So if I'm making a box, for instance, I would extrude like I had done. I would scale it inward so that this would be the inner edge of the box, and then I would go and extrude again, and this time push the box down. Remember, if you hit 4 on your keyboard, you can see the wireframe, so this will let you know how far in you're pushing your box. You don't want to just push your box all the way through to the other side, because now you have intersecting geometry, so you want to make sure you stop before you go through the box. And that's why it also helps to look at one of your orthographic views so that you can make sure that you're stopping. And then here we'll tell you how kind of deep the box is. Right? So you can see if I come back to my perspective view and I hit 5 to jump into my shaded, you can see that I have the box in here. You can see that there are many more modeling tools and modeling features within the Polygon modeling mode. We'll be looking at these features and tools in more detail in later videos.